Hi everyone, this is Metternich, and this is just a very quick explanation of the revisions that are coming to a couple of my video tutorials, mainly the ultimate sharpening workflow for fine art printmaking. Although the content in that video is still completely solid and cutting edge, there are a few improvements that are important for you to know. And I'm going to actually totally remake this video because it's been the biggest selling video I've put out, and I believe it to be the very best on the market. I want it to be as absolute best as possible. Also, my video tutorial, Mastering Fine Art Printmaking and Color Management, still completely solid. Very few things are changed. But I lived in an apartment next to a road and didn't have a good microphone, and so the professionalism is a little low. But the content is still high, and there are just a few things to be improved about that video tutorial. I'll probably completely remake it just so it'll be more professional, but the content will be probably 95% the same. So let me talk a little bit about the content. So if you have purchased my previous video tutorials, you'll know what to look out for. And for previous purchasers, the full remakes will be 50% off. The number one most important thing that needs to be revised with the ultimate sharpening workflow for fine art printing is that we now have 4K and 5K monitors. And here's the deal. There's no way around it, but when you are trying to do very, very fine critical sharpening, noise reduction as well, but mainly sharpening, you can't see the detail. The gap from what the pixels actually look like and what we're seeing on our monitor has broadened. It's almost like a MacBook Pro. You can't see the capture sharpening. You need to have a quality monitor that is lower than 4K, and 5K is even worse. Preferably 10-bit. There's many monitors out there. I have a Dell UltraSharp. They have a nice 27-inch Dell UltraSharp that goes for around $600. That's lower than 4K, that views detail very nice. I use my older Mac 27-inch Thunderbolt. It views detail very nice. I would never ever use a laptop, period. Where I first started noticing this is when I got a brand new 5K iMac, and I'd heard about it, but I thought I could work around it. And I've even talked to the top printmaker in the world, Robert Park. We do the ultimate fine art printmaking workshop twice a year in Las Vegas, and there just isn't a way to work around it. What it's done is it's expanded the guesswork, and we don't want guesswork. We want to go the opposite direction. We want to see exactly what's going on so we know how the print's turning out. Anyway, I got the computer, pulled up a file. I started bringing capture sharpening in, Lightroom sharpening, camera raw sharpening, same thing, radius to the left, detail to the right, started moving it. And I got to about 30, and that's about the threshold of that image. And I pushed it up to 40 and then 50, and I could not see the over sharpening. So that is the problem right there. You can't see, you can't zoom up to 100% viewing distance, look at it extremely carefully and bring in just the perfect amount. Sorry to say, there's no way around it. Serious printmakers or even semi-serious printmakers are going to need to keep that old monitor and or acquire a lower than 4K monitor that is of quality. 10-bit would be preferred. Number two, and extremely important. Here is my current YouTube page, and I talk about it right here. Do not sharpen your raw files. Why? It seems like right here in Ultimate Lightroom Raw segment, which by the way, if you bought the Ultimate Sharpening Workflow for Fine Art Printmaking, this is worth watching. The content in what I'm saying here is absolutely cutting edge and critical, but the difference here, and it seems like a contradiction, but it's not. Same approach, same thing, but don't do it on your raw file. Do it in Photoshop as a layer, not on your master finished file. You want no sharpening at all. Turn it off on your master file. Master file is your finished image. You're all done with it, but you have not sized it up for a print and you have not sized it down for web. Then when you go to capture sharpen your image for an enlargement, in Photoshop, duplicate the layer, view it, same thing, 100% viewing distance, but go to the filter, camera raw filter, and you can access the detail tab there, and you can still use the exact same algorithm for capture sharpening. Same exact rules and same exact benefits. Very important, because it's not bad to do it on a raw file, but we're finding that over 95% of people who are doing it too much, or they're doing it too much in areas that it can't handle. Or they're on monitors and they can't see what they're doing. They're over sharpening and they don't know it. So it's best not to ruin your master file and have it locked in permanently. For those who work in smart layers and adjustment layers, you could turn it on and off as a smart layer at the bottom of your layer stack and save your master in layers if you needed to. That's a whole nother thing. I have a video tutorial coming out about raw smart objects basics. Here is a little promo about it on my YouTube page. Now, the next thing, image sizing cutting through the bowl. This is another revision that is going into the ultimate sharpening workflow for fine art printmaking. Of all the algorithms that can be chosen to upsize our images, Bicubic Smoother is still overall the best algorithm, with the exception of this new algorithm called Lanczos, L-A-N-C-Z-O-S. It's not new, it's just new to be able to access easily. You can get it in Raw Therapy, which is a free raw converter, and you can get it in Irident Developer, which is another free raw converter. I use Raw Therapy, but it is a little bit convoluted on how you actually use Raw Therapy, and very soon I will have on my YouTube page here how to access the Lanczos algorithm using Raw Therapy without messing up your photo. People come in, it ends up changing color spaces on them and they don't know it, or they just don't know how to export it, and other problems. So I'll have that on my YouTube channel shortly. Now, with the color management video, Mastering Fine Art Printmaking and Color Management, that video tutorial was made when I lived next to a road and I didn't have a good microphone, so the professionalism is a little low, but the content is still solid. But I'm remaking that completely. One thing I would like to tell you is that I'm advocating for another color space called Beta RGB, which is a lot like Adobe, but it's wider and more rounded. And I do not advocate for ProPhoto RGB because it has synthetic colors in it that the eye cannot see, and when prints have to be made, those colors have to be remapped into something that the printer can print and that the eye can actually see, and you can get some issues that way. But that whole entire video is going to get remade, so it's much more professional. There'll be a few other things here and there. The content in that is still solid. Going back to the ultimate sharpening workflow for fine art printmaking, I have been introduced to a ultra advanced way to high pass sharpen. I do advocate for high pass sharpening in that video, but in that video I say I can only take it so far. I now can take my images all the way with an advanced high pass sharpening. So that's a really important revision. And lastly, I start talking a little bit about smart objects, and that's going to be in both video tutorials. There's some benefits, very serious benefits if you make really nice enlargements, to keeping your workflow as lossless as possible. And Photoshop Raw Smart Objects is absolutely incredible. And I have a short 5-minute promo here about the video tutorial that's going to be coming out. So that's it. If you have purchased either of those two video tutorials, when the brand new one comes out, take 50% off if you would like the revision. And lastly, if you want to learn everything there is to know from in-camera capture all the way through the entire processing chain to a complete entire masterpiece, master fine art print, check out my website at markmetternich.com, and Robert Park and myself have the ultimate fine art printmaking workshop, which is the best in the industry right now, where you can learn everything there is to know, and everything is recorded on MP4 video for future review. All the best to you and great light to you.